Hey everyone, Dr. James Marcum here. Do you believe how fast this year is going by? Wow. Well, today I'm not going to talk about COVID and the pandemic, I'm not going to talk to you about heart disease, but I'm going to talk to you about a subject that's very interesting to me and that's touched our families' lives. And I hope that you will gain some insight into your life from listening to this. And I have a question that I want to start out with. What do the basketball players Markelle Fultz and Brandon Ingram, the baseball players Matt Harvey, Chris Carpenter, Steven Strasburg, the hockey player Adam McQuaid, and even the musician Isaac Hansen, what do all of these persons have in common? Well, if you know the answer to that, boy, you're way ahead of the game. But if you don't, stay tuned. But before we talk about that, I want to go back to the big picture. And the big picture is in the scriptures. In the scriptures, we can have God, the God of the universe, talk to us. And as we meditate and spend time in the Word, He can lead us and He can show us what He wants us to accomplish for Him in this world. Gives us hope, gives us courage, gives us love, brings us all together, saves us, heals us. Well, the text I want to share with you today is Psalms 25, verse 4. And this is a great text to memorize. Show me your ways, O Lord, teach me your paths. This text is saying, show me your ways, not my ways, your ways. Teach me your paths, not my paths. So God's telling us that He has a way for us, a path for us. We're supposed to ask, and as we do this, He's going to show us this way, what our path is in life. So I want you to hold that with you as we talk about this medical syndrome that all of these athletes share in common. What is that? Well, it's a syndrome called the Thoracic Outlet Syndrome. Well, in our bodies, we have head, thorax, abdomen. So thoracic outlet means an outlet, something leaving this thorax. So in this area here, there's a thoracic outlet. That's an outlet, a place where different structures leave. Well, the bones and the muscles and the ligaments in the arm, they're all fixed. But we need artery, we need blood, and we need nerve signals to make this arm function. Well, sometimes, and these athletes and musicians all share this in common, this thoracic outlet was being basically squished. So the structures that lead this, the vein, the artery, and the nerve, were being compromised. When they were being compromised, because this thoracic outlet was obstructed, the person had symptoms. Well, the most common type of this is when the nerve is obstructed or compromised. And the symptoms might be tingling in the arm that's affected, weakness, numbness, funny feelings called paresthesias. That might be a clue that something's going on. Of course, if the vein is obstructed, the blood can't get back to the heart. If the blood doesn't move back to the heart, it causes the arm to get puffy, discolored, pain, tingling, everything messes up. It can even have clots that can move into the lungs and cause serious problems. That would be a medical emergency. Well, sometimes also the artery has a problem with it. And when the artery has a problem, usually there's a decrease in the pulse. There might be pain. Oxygen can't get to the fingers and the muscles. You might have symptoms where it's cramping when you do things. That would be a symptom called claudication. Well, all of these athletes and musicians use their arms quite a bit. So when this happened, it actually threatened their livelihood. So they would go to their doctors with this symptom and he would make the diagnosis. The diagnosis in the venous and arterial is not that hard to make, but sometimes the nervous system where it's compromised can be very hard. Sometimes it can be, if the nerve's related, it can be a positional, whereas all of a sudden the nerve is pinched, then you don't get good nerve symptoms flow down there, and then you have symptoms develop. That one's hard to diagnose, but now they have some MRIs that can look at this area. Of course, ultrasounds and the clinical picture can give us a feel. Well, each of these athletes and musicians had this syndrome and they had it treated. It's not that common. So why do I even bring it up today? Well, because it has affected our family in great ways. My son Jake had thoracic outlet syndrome, the type that affected the vein, and that's called Paget-Schrotter syndrome. This happened his junior year in high school. And it really not only changed his life, but it changed our family's life. You know, you ask yourself, Lord, why did this happen? What was your ultimate purpose? And it was a traumatic situation. And many of you have had pain and different trials and different tests in your life. But remember, God uses tests and trials for his greater purpose. And that's what we learned. We still don't know exactly for Jake and for us what that greater purpose was, but we trust him that this was part of his way. This was part of his path for Jake in his life. It's like, for instance, playing a baseball game. You know, you practice catching the ball, picking up grounders, throwing the ball. You make mistakes, you have injuries, you have trials, you have tests, but all of this is done so that when you get in the game, you're best trained to make that big play, to do that thing for the team when it's needed. Well, maybe these trials and tests in life that come our way, it's not so much the trial, but it makes us stronger and come closer to God and trust him more and understand him and hear his voice better. So when it is game time for us in our lives, that way and that path can be revealed. Well, if you want to know a little bit more about Jake's story and our family story, we've created a website to help other people with this syndrome called helpforthoracikoutlet.org. And you can go to that and get more information. If you'd like to watch the video, I think it's very important. And those with this condition, it gives more resources because we want to help those that have it, help them long-term, show them how to rehab, how to live with it, how to cope with it. We're going to continue to add and work with others that are specializing in this area. But not only do we want to help the medical condition, but we want people to realize that there is a path that God has you on. And these paths might contain trials, physical trials, mental trials, spiritual trials. But as he has you on this path, he's going to show you his ways and what he's trying to accomplish, his will, because in the end, we're going to have healing. So check out that website with the video. I think you'll really enjoy it. Share it with your friends, neighbors. Comment on it if you like it. Give it a thumbs up or thumbs down. And I want to focus back on this text again. I'm hoping we all can memorize that text and embed it in our heart and ask God to speak to you today about this text. Show me your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths. Your ways might not be my ways or the ways of the world, but that's what is best for me because you know me, you love me, you created me. And teach me your paths. That requires learning. So how can I learn? Well, it's by spending time with you, learning through these tests, these trials, these conditions that might happen to us. So I'm hoping each one of you learned something from this today, and I will be back soon with another biblical prescription for life.